Welcome back to the podcast. The Chick Chatting Pod Show is brought to you by Avalos Car Media Group, a media company for entrepreneurs, like-minded people. Please check out our other episodes, and I am excited to bring on Mr. Richard Blank, CEO, founder of Costa Rica Call Center. He talks a lot about his journey, and I would love to share this with all my audiences. We're reaching 12 countries worldwide, so stay tuned, guys. Welcome back to my podcast, guys. I'm super excited because I have an amazing guest, Mr. Richard Blanks. He is the CEO of Costa Rica's Call Center. So I'm excited to have him here. Thank you, Richard.
Happy to be here, Alejandra. Thank you so much for having me as your guest.
Amazing. And, we did chat a little bit last time, and I learned a lot from you. But can you tell us in the audience, how did it all start for you?
Oh my goodness. The first thing is getting past your parents' guilt.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, then the world opens up to you. But I grew up in Northeast Philadelphia, and instead of following in certain footsteps in finance and economics and law, I decided to be a Spanish major. So when I graduated from Proud Abington, I went to the University of Arizona and studied Spanish.
Woo!
And little did I know when I was 27, I'd have a 1 in a million opportunity to move to Costa Rica, and I took it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Sometimes you have cosquillas, so you have intuitions and sixth sense. And you also need, Alejandra, to live with yourself. So there are certain decisions you need to be selfish on and others to think of different people, but it is a long road and you want comfortable shoes.
Yes.
And so I knew that Spanish would be something to open doors. I just had no idea where it was going to take me, but I did decide to invest my career and my education.
And that's, I think, the best choice you ever made, because, it's kind of funny how life works out. You were studying Spanish, and then boom, it kind of just connected.
Well, I also realized that when people do dedicated practice in regards to maybe music and art and athletics, they are better than average.
Right.
And then if there's some sort of versatility where they can use these skills into other areas for influence, to make money, or for networking, I think it's phenomenal. And so I tell you what, when I was the only one out of my friends that could speak Spanish, I had something going on. Listen, let me put this way. When we go out to the restaurants, I was
You're
getting
like, hey,
on my burger. Yeah. Hooking up Ricardo. And so maybe the positive reinforcement, Alejandra. Maybe it's the fact that I never got a thumbs down. And when I would meet Latinos, they would say, very good, Richard. Let me add some vocabulary, grammar, or just say, hey, kid, I think you got it. And so pretty much that's all I needed to invest in that sort of passion.
And it's amazing because, your story literally was shaping you to be who you are today. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs get lost in everything, like in their school, like where they're trying to go.
Depends on how much influence people have and the leverage that they can get. So I had a lot of guilt, and things were set up for me in a very nice way. It was a secure future with all the steps because it was tried and tested by my grandparents, my father, and my older brother.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty much, that's what families work for, is to pass, I guess, comforts or advantages or wisdom along. But my argument, Alejandro, was, well, what happened with my great-grandparents that came to the United States at the turn of the 20th century from Eastern Europe? They took huge chances, learned English, started a business. And so it's in your blood.
It is.
And you need to live a good life where you leave castles and slay dragons and save princesses. That's what you need to do in this life. If not, then what kind of life are you living?
Exactly.
So I decided to take this opportunity. And entrepreneurs need to be bold and brave.
Right.
They need to have a backbone and to fight for what they believe.
Right. And, you're a perfect example of that. And can you tell us a little bit more, though? I know you learned Spanish and you were able to create this amazing empire. But, what kept you going? What was your why?
Well, in the earlier stage in high school, it was being the lone wolf.
Right.
It was having enough love of myself to make that sort of commitment at a young age, which, as you see, continues to today. So I'm happy with that. In my 20s, deciding to choose certain jobs that will allow me to get an ROI and to test these skills.
Right.
But I tell you what, as I mentioned, when I was in college, I interned for Telemundo. So I did that for 2 years. And when I was post-grad, I worked for the importers of Corona beer. And so I was really involved. And maybe it was being selfish. But if you're going to pay me for an hour, I'll do my job. But if I can speak Spanish, that's like free school.
Exactly.
So I'm getting that for free. And
right.
So also the sort of responses that I would always get the most referrals. People would extend additional time. Here's the best part. The Latino community likes to feed you too.
Yes.
So besides doing business and say, hey, Ricardo, come in the kitchen. You want a couple of things with this? I go, absolutely I do.
Free food.
So, why wouldn't you?
Right.
I was learning different cultures and I was understanding to not refuse offers and certain words like don and doña when you're speaking to elders. And it was a beautiful dance because Spanish is a romantic language. There's desire and doubt with the subjunctive tense. Yes. So instead of in English trying to express myself by shouting or using excessive hand or body language, I could be sly and cool and use a really good conjugated verb and really get points. And so on Alejandra, that was the move. That gave me distance in my conversations. And when I was in the office pitching in Spanish, people would look at me like I was the Wolf of Wall Street. I was just talking about the directions, how to get there by 12. And so it was good time.
That's cool.
I knew I was on to something.
But that's awesome, because you look at like the opportunity, you're like, I'm going to take it, you don't let things stop you.
So what I built on, it took years to learn a second language. You see the dedication, the cognitive skills, the structure. And so anybody that has something in common, as I mentioned, art or athletics, architecture, or even languages, they know what they put in. And they also understand what the other person put in. So there is that initial respect of stepping up to the plate so we can use that medium. And so for me, my goodness, did it give me an advantage. So besides looking good and showing up in the suit and being polished and at the ready with my rhetoric, by being an Anglo-Saxon from Philadelphia with my accent, speaking Spanish,
right?
It was unbelievable the sort of receptions that I would get. I literally would have higher contact ratios, conversation times, and my conversion ratios were through the roof. And so I said to myself, is this a special sauce or did I just have a foresight to do this? But I tell you what, when I meet other business owners here in Costa Rica that have done a lot of very good things,
right?
While we're having dinner and we're talking and sharing the trade, I say, yo, how's your Spanish? They're like, un poquito. I'm like, nice poquito.
Yeah, they're not going to have it all. Yeah.
I go, so you're walking amongst your hundreds, if not thousands, and you're not able to extend that. And so privately, do I judge? I guess. Why? Because they were given the opportunity to do this, and they never did it.
Right.
So you're telling me you've been to Costa Rica 20 times, you've been here for 5 years, you can't speak a lick of Spanish?
Yeah.
And so maybe it was my own thing, but I put myself in the shoes of the agents that said to me on the sly, Richard, the fact that you speak Spanish, you can relate to us when you're training, you can onboard us in a certain way, which reduces the time and makes it even clearer.
Exactly.
Or maybe if I can explain it in English and in Spanish, it means I really understand it.
Exactly.
So I go, listen, man, you can double gun, you can switch hit. And they go, respect to you, Ricardo. I go, con mucho gusto. Thank you very much. Por supuesto. Yeah.
And they feel at home. They feel they can trust you.
I've earned a level of respect where like a feral cat, it might approach you and drink the milk or take the food from your hand. So what it is we're reducing the distance and lowering that defense. And I'm doing it through merit.
Right.
I'm not doing it on a fake promise. I've shown them what I'm offering them without anything in return. And so they kind of see where I'm coming from. And no, it's been extremely beneficial for me down here to have majored in Spanish.
And it's awesome. And it is something that I even look up to because I mean, you're in a market where you have to learn Spanish. I mean, you have to, either you're opening a company, you're investing in that area. So connecting with the locals really helps.
I'm not on a home court advantage. So let's be realistic. I am a guest here and I do not look Tico. So they might be charging me 20% more or making it more difficult for me.
Yeah.
So I needed an ace man. I needed a sidekick, a local that can get me not just the discounts, but the flexibility and convenience, but also represent me on the streets.
Exactly.
But I tell you what, in order for me to grow, I needed to hire local specialists like an IT director. I needed attorneys, accountants,
Right.
human resources director, individuals that knew the Código del Trabajo, the labor laws, and the sort of ins and outs, where I just didn't have the time, the ability, or just the patience to sit there and learn 5 years worth of human resources laws. And so I needed to have that faith to extend in order for me to grow. But I mostly did it internally, Alejandra. So these individuals that have shown fidelity and their stripes and can take the good and the bad with me, I would much prefer to have them in more sensitive positions than have somebody that could come in that may be a cancer, has bad habits, starts yelling at my people. Listen, calm down, Billy. And might just not be a good fit.
Right.
That's all.
You're right, Richard. I mean, it takes a whole team for you to get this done. You can't do it by yourself.
And I don't bat 1,000. There are some bad picks.
Yeah.
It's happened. And guess what, my friend? I get disappointed more than I do angry. Unless they're scratching my car, then I get this. But I get disappointed because I see their potential and they're not living up to it. And I'm not going to hit the ball and drag Johnny. That's just not my job. I'd like to have it where we're even and we're pacing well. Or if you're not studying and doing your homework, I'm not going to do it 3 times in a row. It shows you're wasting everyone's time.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine. I mean, you have to kind of lead them because you're in a position of leadership. And also being a CEO, how does that kind of blend?
They have the leverage. If they quit today, Amazon will hire them first thing tomorrow morning.
Right.
So as much as I can yell at you and threaten you, you could always leave. So I prefer to have natural attrition because of a scheduling conflict. Your girlfriend or boyfriend works somewhere, it's closer to your home, or even if you have skills, you could make more money.
Right.
I will not have people leave on forced attrition where I give you the walk of shame, make you cry.
Right.
Have you with me. But as a CEO, what can I do? Maybe if I can, besides doing the surface where people are just looking at the money and the schedule, is there any value added to it? Do you find a mentor? Is there somebody, Alejandra, that can speak francamente contigo, that can actually call the balls and the strikes and give you a little bit of Philly guilt? Not in a bad way, but just saying, hey, Alejandra, you know you're better than that. Come on, I saw what you did last week. Or maybe you're out of character today.
Exactly.
It's not the usual Alejandra that we all know and love. And so maybe if somebody assists you to straighten the tie, that's a straight shooter.
It is.
And I just won't do it when you're low. But if you're on a high, I'm going to be the first one to congratulate you on the floor and say, look at the champ, look at the champ. So you get both.
Right.
And maybe if you're mature and you're capable through your impulse control to receive certain, not criticism, but observations, suggestions, or potential relations, because before I say, yo, Alejandra, you're better than that, I would say, Alejandra, may I make a suggestion? Sure, Richard. Listen, when I was making phone calls and Mr. Jones was cursing at me, I had this happen, but I also did this. Does this make sense? You're like, yes. I'm like, all right, freshman, I'll get back in. Come on, get it back in there for the second round. And so the beauty of this is that I'm just not somebody that has an Ivy League degree, comes in as a genius and starts doing this. I am an old school gladiator that decided to own a Coliseum. And so I know what it's like to receive calls, do retention, customer support, upselling, referrals, exit interviews, QA, metrics, KPIs.
Wow.
I could throw more terms out there for you to make me sound important. But I tell you what, I can go out there at any time and any place, not only juggle, but bite the apple. So they know I know what I'm doing.
Exactly. I mean,
So
you started from the
it's
bottom.
easy for me.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it is. I mean, like I mentioned, I used to work at a call center for many years. You learn a
Mm,
lot. You learn a lot. You learn how to sell. You learn how to communicate. You learn how to listen. It's
yeah.
a school.
I love the art of speech.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that phonetics, the sound of speech, is much more powerful than the vision. Sure, there's congruence where you can match it. People talk about mirror imaging and micro expression reading, but our bodies are really not accustomed to this sort of controlled environment where you're sitting in a station for 160 hours a month, speaking to people sight unseen. And so one of the greatest communicators, a master communicator actually, was Helen Keller,
Okay.
where she lost 2 of her senses, but expanded on the taste, touch, and smell, created her own language, and did some mediums in bridging that sort of worlds. So I encourage my agents, while we're moving their taste, touch, and smell, to double up on the hearing, to be more attentive in listening and do copious note taking.
Yes.
But secondly, to really incorporate image streaming, which is just description and imagination and more colorful language. So you can grasp the attention span better. You can really, I guess, relate where you see what they see.
Right.
And what it does is it doesn't make the call monotonous. It kind of makes every call fresh because you're on your toes.
Exactly.
And it just doesn't seem like you're reading a script. When you take it from black and white to color, print to a painting, movie to live theater, you can somehow feel it a little bit more that goes through. And so what I try to do is adjust the tone, focus on diplomatic vocabulary, removing words.
Right.
Like help and putting in assist, guide, and lend a hand, and not excuse me, but for my clarification.
Yes.
Military alphabet, that's a great anchor so the emails don't bounce back. And if I can do the simple dimple, what happens is we're not going to spill anything in the kitchen. The rest is just bad. At least I'm not going to have you fumbling footballs. And these are just soft skills, or as we say, bedside manner.
Right.
That might prolong a call and assist you in potentially making more business. As you know, because you sold your soul to work at a call center. I can't believe it. How could you? Hillary, crazy?
Yeah, I know. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm glad that I took that chance because they teach you. I mean, if you have a good company, obviously that can happen. They teach you how to really listen, like you said, and understand what they're asking. Because they could be asking all these things, but you're like, what are they really needing, you know?
How much of your audience really does telemarketing or worked at a call center? And but you are 100% correct. You're talking about, it's almost like public speaking. Most people fear it more than death.
Yes.
And I believe telemarketing, their main concern is why you're in it, is to get hung up on.
Yes.
It's almost like the reverse of what they said in The Wolf of Wall Street. Don't judge me on the successes, judge me on the failures, because I have so few. If you're a boxer, you're going to take one in the chin. If you're a telemarketer, you're not going to bat 1,000. Nobody does. Pete Rose didn't. And so it's amazing how they've done things in their life, Alejandra, that are 10 times harder than making a phone call. And if you can't master this level, how are you going to master other levels? Now, you're comparing ourselves with what Hollywood glamorizes with The Wolf of Wall Street, Boiler Room, Glengarry, Glen Ross. I mean, there's 1,000 movies where you see the slinging stock, cold call, closing, the whole shebangages. But how many people out there actually work for insurance companies, real estate companies, hospitals, law firms, where they make and receive calls, they retain clients? It's not just slinging stock. There's a lot of proud people out there that retain clients.
Yeah.
There's amazing people out there that take that referral, call the cousin, and close that deal. And so it's amazing, that skill. What do? We juggle more balls. We can bite the apple, and we've done it thousands upon thousands of times, that we shave fat and can give ourselves the distance.
Right.
Are we well versed? is an actor, is a singer. Sure, they sang the song 1,000 times. Do they do it better than you? Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Unless you are such an artist, as we respect our colleagues, that could take your script and with congruence, they can read with conviction,
Right.
and make it sound authentic, like newscasters or even the best actors. But you're just trained. It's muscle memory. You've mastered phonetics. You know trigger words and when to pause.
Right.
And when to use transitional sentences, taking the last thing you say and jumping to the next island. And
that's how it is. It is. You learn so much from getting hung up on. That's what I learned.
But you also see the laziness of speech. Like if you learned your second language, when someone uses bad grammar, or someone studies art, their shadowing and their angling is not correct, or even mathematics, there are mistakes there.
Right.
Burning food. And so in speech, people can be lazy.
Right.
Or they're not listening, or they're too aggressive or passive and not assertive. And how about this? They lost the spark that got them into it in the first place.
Yes. Bingo.
The excitement of the first call, the desire to assist people, like police officers when they get into it. At the end, they hate it. But in the beginning, they want to save the world like Superman. And
then they're like, oh, yeah.
I just don't want you to get jaded by the hang up or the FU. I think they're romantic deaths. If I can do a company name spike, I can do a positive escalation. And as we call it, buffer boomerang, where I can buffer the negative tone by name dropping you, letting you know whatever question you ask me is a great question.
Yeah.
Repeating the question and sending it back to adjust tones. If I can do these things in 30 seconds, that's a great cloud to jump.
Exactly.
That's a beautiful skill. That's like the guy in the mall handing you that delicious piece of sesame chicken on the toothpick, even though you ain't buying. It's delicious food.
You're like, oh, I'll have it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. And so what's amazing is people really only want to focus on, when you look at certain statistics, the 1 out of 15, the 3 in an 8-hour shift, or 1 every other hour.
Right.
Okay, well, you get those, but how are you not going to get there unless you get through the 15 bad calls?
Exactly.
But you got to serve them all the same.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say, maybe just when the call is ending and even you are not transferred, I would say, hey, listen, Alejandra, if you had transferred me to Mr. Jones, I would have let him know how helpful you were.
Yeah.
I'm still giving you the dying positive escalation. Why? Because I practiced it. Why? Because on the next call, I'm going to use it again until it does hit.
Yeah.
And so when I call your company back, you'll remember me about complimenting you to your boss. Exactly. And this is part of my own introduction.
Right.
Here's the skins. This is what I do to make it fun. You get 3 seconds when the call picks up. I could ask to speak to you. I could introduce myself. I could hedge, stutter, good morning you, or whatever you.
Right.
I like to know where you are. So I'm just going to say, Alejandra,
relocated.
With Avalos Media. And so,
yeah.
I'm going to say what you know first. Why? Because I'm going to say it better than you do. Secondly, it's something you know. So it's not a question back at me. Third, most people think it's a mystery shopper or someone that's been there before.
Yes.
So I've seen in this psychological study, instead of asking to speak to you, introducing myself or trying some angle where they say, who's this? Is this a sales call? We're good, thanks. I usually get the positive reinforcement of, who's this?
Exactly.
Yeah. Alejandra, I'm so glad that you asked. My name is Richard Blank.
They're like, oh, wow.
Blank? Who is Richard Blank? Alejandra, I knew you were going to ask a follow-up question. Richard Blank is the CEO of Costa Rica's call center.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'll play my normal odds. It goes from half port
right
to 3-point to now foul shot percentages. Why? Company name spike, 2 simple questions back.
Right.
I get to gauge your temp,
mm-hmm.
and then I get to do the full thing.
Exactly.
And that's how we do it. My suggestion as well is, before you transfer me Alejandra, I just want to let you know you're great. I'm going to let Mr. Jones know that.
Exactly.
And so you get transferred to Mr. Jones. I'm not going to say, Mr. Jones's company. I'm going to go, hello, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, Alejandra is the greatest ever.
Yeah.
Who's this? Got you again.
Yeah.
All right. It's time for the big breath, 30-second. Richard
exactly.
gets his dance. And there we go again. The second question's over again. It's playing a good hand.
Yes.
it's a clean hand in the beginning because you're anchoring.
Right.
And then you play the percentages. But I always find that that's a very healthy and a very pure introduction. There's nothing better than doing a beautiful name drop.
Yeah, that is actually the best I've ever heard, because there's so many people who, you know, like you said, get discouraged, but it's that pitch. You have those 3 seconds to really make that impression.
You get to say it 160 times a day.
Yeah.
Or if you use a predictive dialer 400 times a day. I'd love to say, Alejandra, Alejandra, Alejandra. Yeah, I'm going to say it 400 times until it hits perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll keep using it over and over again. Why not?
It's a skill.
I got nothing else to do. I might as well take a mint before I leave the restaurant. I mean, come on, you got to at least take something.
Yeah.
In Spanish, we call por lo menos.
Por lo menos, yeah.
At least I'm going to get something from the call. What'd you get? I got to say Alejandra's name twice and learn how great she was when she was hanging up on me. But guess what I did do? I said the name of her company better than she did. So it's better teach her a lesson, young lady. Get your house in order.
I love that. I love that. And, you know, I love that you're bringing me back to the days where I had to learn all of this. You know, when you've never worked at a call center, you get shocked at first. You're like, what the heck is going on? You don't understand how the world works over the phone.
I think the only problem is the CRM system. Look at it like this, my friend. I never worked at a call center before. They just put Ricardo in there and all I did was my thing.
Yeah.
You know what? You need the wild card because if everybody is in lockstep and they do not decide to let the true individual out, that can be a serious issue for some people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, hold on one quick second.
Yeah, go ahead. Cool.
I had to turn off that phone.
Mine was going off too. I was like, no worries.
That was very unprofessional, me. I know that you're supposed to be putting your stuff on on mute. So I'm teaching everybody in the audience. I was not prepared. So I completely apologize for that.
It happens.
Cool, Ricardo. Thanks.
Eso pasa. Yeah, I mean, I just, like I said, I learned a lot and I feel like I'm going back in time, but these skills, they work when you open up your own thing. When you open up your own gig, it works. You just implement it in what you're doing.
Yo, Alejandra, how about this? I would much prefer to hire somebody that has bilingual skills and an education without any call center experience.
Oh, yes, I've heard that too.
No bad habits.
Yes.
I can mold them. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so, as I say before, anybody that comes in raw and fresh is 10 times better. And so people like us that don't have the experience and we're not jaded, they're the perfect people to be in this environment. Exactly. They can show you things you haven't even seen before.
Mm-hmm. That is true. I've heard that a lot. A lot of people like newcomers because the ones that have been doing it pick up, habits from back other companies and, it ruins a little bit of the experience.
It ruins a lot of the experience and then they learn to hate it.
Yes. And they leave.
But they're not thinking of the long-term play. Yeah. You said earlier that these are the sort of skills that you have that can almost transfer over into other things outside of your life. If you learn listening skills and patience and note-taking and rhetoric and understanding, then you'll save a marriage, a Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes.
Right? You'll become more popular, more engaging at social events. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, likable.
Yeah, because maybe you did some due diligence because you're used to looking up companies' names or profiles prior to a phone call so you can compliment things. And I hate shallow talk. I understand it's appropriate during certain areas if you have to do it. But if you're going to have a meeting with someone or you're going to meet up with somebody, it doesn't hurt to take 2 seconds to see who they are.
Exactly.
Because when someone calls me and they will say, Richard, I see that you collect pinball machines. Man, you just got 3 minutes. It's yours to lose.
Yeah.
You start mentioning Philadelphia, there's another 2 minutes. You got 5 minutes. Credit cards at the ready. And so why is that impressive for me? I don't know, because you're not calling me sir or asking me 50 qualifying questions if I want to switch over something, or you actually for a minute, you jive. And I don't know how, but that's more effective in selling.
Yes.
And is It's almost like when a band writes a song in 15 minutes, like my favorite band, In Excess, that wrote Need You Tonight. If somebody comes up with something spontaneous and connects with you right there, you can almost put 90% of the qualifying sales chiseling away questions aside, and it's really just locking in that appointment and that very specific email for next steps.
Yeah.
Compared to me reviewing your information to see if you qualify and make the cut, you're only getting that because they're black and blue from the 99 prior to you that put a bad taste in their mouth.
Exactly.
It's not fair, but that's the name of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why, Alejandra, and you know this, by that positive escalation or just showing good faith in the beginning of the call,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of your contractual terms and price, you literally are showing such good graces.
Right.
With an individual that might be an owner of a company, been there for 10 years, but just never got the sort of respect
Yeah.
that somebody, by the way we were raised by our grandparents, would show. When it comes to people, I need to have some sort of connection first. I'll do business with anybody, but is there any way that I connect in one of the 5 senses of something we've experienced in life? My tastes are very unique. I like convertibles and pinball, but I can still relate to animals.
Right.
Or someone is in athletics, or if they've traveled to a certain place and seen something, I might have been there. Or maybe if I haven't, I'm just proud of the fact that you did. And I admire you for it. And I sound sincere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you become vulnerable, Alejandra, it makes you more powerful.
Yes, I believe that.
And when you see artwork, like, or even the statue of David, for an example, this is an individual that has nothing.
Right.
It's supposed to be the perfection of the human body and man. And so it's an exceptionally powerful statement. I'd rather be seen as I am.
Exactly.
Compared to the suit and the watch stuff behind me, because that's when you're on your final moments and you're thinking of everything. I'm not thinking of the 61 Cola. I'm thinking of my buddy Alejandra, or just another moment in life where I felt human and I felt beautiful.
Right.
And I felt like I contributed. I think that's more valuable.
It's fulfilling, right? It's that fulfillment of, I mean, the money's important. You want to have it, but I think fulfillment is the end goal.
What happens when you have all the dough?
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at yourself in the mirror. Can you respect yourself? Is it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
So you realize anybody can get the money.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has self-respect and dignity.
Correct.
And when you say, well, Richard, what has changed throughout the centuries and millenniums? Well, sure, fashion, technology, architecture, but a smile and a hug and a handshake and exchanging food hasn't changed since the beginning of time. And so I believe if those are the gestures that last throughout the years, and those are the ones I'm going to be focusing on first.
Exactly.
Because it's been tried and tested, and it seems to bring us the closest together. They break fast.
Right.
When people toast.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you see and my favorite, I know when it's humans that do it, but when you see people come back from the military and their dogs or pets.
Oh, yes. I love those videos.
You don't cry, you're not human. And so you tell me there's nothing in the world more important than that moment. So how do you put prices on even money? No. They give it all away to hug their puppy one more time.
Exactly.
So you judge life and how people judge you. And the more you're comfortable in your own skin, the more you find your own center and balance, the more attractive you become. Because you have your depth, and you have your best friends, and you have your partner, and you have the respect that you wanted.
Right.
And maybe by leaving the United States was fine, but it also allowed me at 27 years old to be reborn again and get as you say in Spanish, borrar y cuenta nueva. I got a clean.
Yeah. You started again.
So I got to shed any sort of things that you did as a child that you just got to let go because you were young.
Exactly.
you get a second chance again to do the right thing if you get a chance.
Yeah.
And you get to do it as an adult, not as a
Much
child.
better.
So you can make more intelligent decisions. And so I was very fortunate to get a second chance to live again, Alejandra.
Yeah. Yeah. And tell us about that. I mean, your life completely, did it change once you moved to Costa Rica?
Most certainly did. I fell in love. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
I found a trade that had a lot of work to it, but was very rewarding, and I just enjoyed it. So I got lucky there too. I live in paradise.
Mm-hmm. You do.
I live in gorgeous Central America.
Yeah.
And it's a democratic society with ecotourism. Cost of living's about a third. And
great food.
And beautiful food, especially when you go to the feria on Saturday, the farmer's market. You just get the most fresh produce. If you like organic, it's there too. Exotic fruit.
Exactly.
If you want a healthy lifestyle, Alejandra, you can do it.
Right.
It's up to you.
Right.
And if you want to go outside and exercise, it doesn't need to be a gym. You can go everywhere and anywhere in Costa Rica. The weather's there, and there's plenty of national parks and paths and
beautiful.
Things to enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why you can't be better here. And Costa Rica has an expression, pura vida, which means pure life.
Yes.
And it's a good thing and also a bad thing.
Oh, why?
The good thing is mentally it's wonderful, but the frustrating thing is someone that, and it's just our way, that might have a certain pace in life, expectations. They might be accustomed to things in the Northeast or banks, restaurants, highways, service.
Right.
That when they come here, that Pura Vida lifestyle doesn't mesh well. They raise their voice. They don't have patience. They're rude.
Yep.
And it makes us all look bad. And so you have to remove all of the things that were important to you where you are.
Right.
Growing up and coming here, I was, as I mentioned, a clean slate. I was willing to accept the longest of line or the greatest opportunity. It's the wheel of fortune.
Exactly.
But regardless, my toes were going to be tapping. Even if I was in the rain at a bus stop for 3 hours, guess what, Alejandra? We're in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
You kidding? And so when I would look at the news, KYW, and I'd see school closures or freezing temperatures in Philly and snow, and I'd be like, all right, let's go drive to work with the top down, chillins.
Exactly, paradise.
I couldn't. So it's a give and a take. But don't you dare ruin the vibe down here and be loud and be rude. That's not fair. You're a guest in this country.
Yes.
You should do the best that you can to give yourself a very nice experience here. And that would be my only suggestion.
Yes. And I agree with you because even when I go certain places, you could tell people are more North American or, American. They don't respect, they think everywhere is America. And that they don't have people have their own cultures. You have to respect them.
Not saying just Anglo-Saxon or North Americans, but there are people that prefer to play very loud music. On the beach, or on golf courses,
right?
Or if you're in a certain restaurant, their children might not be behaving a certain way, or once again, they might be noticed in a not favorable way because of their speaking level or the attention. It's okay. I mean, what are you going to do? I just think common sense and awareness and what's happening, that might be nice. But what I've seen today is that you can't really judge somebody because they might be dangerous.
Right.
Like if you start yelling at someone in traffic, they might get out of the car and have road rage. Or you don't want to ruin your reputation here either. Exactly. Because let's say you yell at the gardener, or you're rude and you fire a maid and not pay them their severance or their insurance.
Something.
Words get around.
Yeah.
And you deserve what comes to you if you do not do the proper things. I'm not expecting you to be in harm's way, But
Right.
don't expect that if you're going to call somebody and ask a favor and they say that they're busy
Mm-hmm.
or they're not available anymore, they just say no thank you. Well,
Right.
you burn that bridge.
Yeah.
And so you have to be very careful on that too. And so, as I say, you have to pay attention to how you speak, what you do, the reactions. And that's why I have some individuals that filter it for me. Was there a miscommunication? Did I understand this correctly? Do I need to be there Tuesday? Did I
Right.
understand it?
Yeah.
And that assists me instead of making some simple mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a learning lesson. I think that you learned a lot once you moved there. I bet you even felt better. You were just better off.
The sun shone better here and the soil
Yes.
was better.
Yes.
I felt better. Like every day felt fresh for me, like a Saturday. It never
Right.
got boring. And the fact I fell in love, that's a 1 in a zillion chance to find something like that.
Yeah.
If I never got the college recommendation from high school to offset my grades, Arizona would have never happened.
Yeah.
If I was never at Arizona, my cousin Joe would have never given me this opportunity for Costa Rica.
Yes.
And so you have to look backwards
Mm-hmm.
and see the individuals that added wind into your sails and try to pay it forward any way that you can and be humble and extremely gracious for people that believed in you when
You weren't.
maybe you didn't believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And
And
so
that's deep. Yeah, that's deep because, I always think of that. A lot of people lose their humbleness. And I spoke to actually a billionaire yesterday. He sold a company for 1.8 billion, and I was shocked because he didn't even look it. He was so calm in a treehouse talking to me, a stranger, and I was just, his humbleness was so, I don't know how to say, comforting. I didn't feel threatened. I didn't feel like I wasn't at his level. And I think people lose that, right? That humbleness.
person by person, Alejandra, they can decide what they want to do.
Right.
Did I have a level of success in some people's eyes? No. In other
Right.
people's eyes, yes.
Right.
Depends on how you want to gauge my life.
Right.
But for me, I will say this. I did earn more than I would have if I stayed at a salaried job somewhere.
Yes.
I might have rose the ranks faster than if I had to do that somewhere else.
Right.
It's almost like the high school player that goes right into the pros. I was hanging out at my buddy's call center, and the next thing you know, I'm owning one.
Yeah.
And I was never a supervisor, manager, or anything. I was just a top player, a very good friend,
Exactly.
owning the business. And then I just decided
Yeah.
to do it. And so, what do you do? I mean, when you have people that, when you walk past them, they click off screens or they stop conversations or they act differently, that's not fun or fair. I was 18, 20, 25, 30 at one time.
Right.
I thought I was cool. Or at least if you're afraid of me, then buddy, you're afraid of yourself.
Right.
I'll tell you why. Alejandra, if you're not breaking the law, don't be afraid of a cop. If you're not cheating on a test, don't be afraid of a teacher. But if you're coming to my place of work and we work together and you're doing what you have to do, why would you be afraid of me? It's not right. But I still get it. I still get this stiff in the conversation. They look at me as the old guy that's going to fire you. And I guess, but you want to hear the best part? I guess if I am in a position of authority, like principals and bosses.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I'm in that division now. I can be the Willy Wonka. I can be the different one. F you.
Yeah.
I play pinball with my friends. I know their names. I break bread with them. You don't. That's your problem.
Exactly.
I make more money than you. I don't care.
Exactly.
All I know is that at the business or call center Olympics, I got 10 people that say I spent time with them. I know what their wives' names are. They've been with me for 10 years. We've done a couple different things together.
Exactly.
Forget writing them a check.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know their last name? No, seriously, what's their son's name?
Exactly.
Did you ever walk outside and tell their mother how amazing they were? They worked for you for 8 years.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. And so to each its own, and everyone can decide to do And I think there's a stigma and people want to be the CEO. Why? So you can fire people. Ooh, that's great. But guess what? People can also quit on you too.
Exactly. That's the sucky part. Yeah.
What happens when no one shows up to your Chuck E. Cheese party? You have no friends. But Alejandra, it happens. And so when people come back and they're here for another day, it's amazing to me. They have options. And so the best thing that I can do is, as I mentioned, listen to calls, be positive, keep the morale high, pay them on time.
Yeah.
But somehow crack that code for that rainy Wednesday or that time they needed the picking up. Oh, I have a secret for you. So when people are filling out our resumes and our forms to get hired, I ask them to turn the piece of paper over so you can give me a couple paragraphs on the coming of age moment. Coming of age, and I go, of course, the time that you beat up a bully, you saved a kitten, or you did it both in one day.
Yeah.
It's like an 80s movie. You ride off in the sunset with
Yeah.
your girlfriend and you beat up the bully. But I will see what they write. A lot of the times it's fluff. It's and sometimes they'll talk about learning the violin or taking care of their two younger siblings or assisting their grandparent or when they traveled for a year in Japan.
Right.
I love that because you can give them a nickname, you see their depth. And also if Alejandra's on a sales call with you and they happen to ask you a personal question, are you capable of giving them a non-scripted answer?
Exactly.
And also, if you can't play pinball with me, I'm not going to hire you. Sorry.
Like,
that's discrimination. Sue me. Go to the Ministerio del Trabajo. Yeah. I'm only kidding.
But that's cool because you're going to get to know them at a deeper level. And it is hard when you run a company.
You see how they do those fake introductions. Hey, around the room, introduce yourself and say something about yourself. No one's going to say anything. Go, hi, my name's Richard. I'm from Philly. I'm not going to tell you anything.
Exactly.
Y'all hate me.
Yeah.
So, hey, you need to find the right environment for them. And that's why playing these arcade machines downstairs is a happy medium for them to relax and flow and talk. When you put them on the spot, or you're forcing an answer out of them, it's not good. That's why I enjoy having coffee with people and cookies. And I'll catch them when they have a moment so I can pull a call and I can listen to you. And every time you do something good, I'll just pause and I'll look at you and you go, I know. I did the military outfit. I go, yes, you did. And then go to the next one. And so I'll just make nice faces.
Yeah.
And you'll tell me why. And then at the end you go, this was the greatest ever. I thought I was in trouble. Why would you think you were in trouble? You just gave me coffee, Richard. No, Alejandra, I gave you vanilla coffee. Come on, say it. Come on, it's the better stuff. It's not this stuff downstairs. It's my private stash.
It's the good one.
And you forgot that I gave you a cookie. Did I give you cookies? Yeah, a galleta. I gave you cookies. When was the last time, Alejandra, you had cookies with your boss? I've never had it. Well, you did today.
Exactly.
So can we shed that skin of the scared? Now we're doing coffee's cookie and reinforcement. Can we get to that next level, please?
Yes.
I'll give the Philly gill. I go, please.
Please.
And they'll look at me and go, are you sure?
Are you
yes.
Sure?
Really sure? Yes. Okay, good. Now finish your coffee.
I still need to go up there. I haven't visited Philly.
Oh my God. And you'll love it. I mean, if you go to the art museum, you definitely got to do your rounds of the cheesesteaks, Kelly Drive School. And if you make it to Northeast Philly, my stomping grounds, definitely go visit Willow Grove and Jenkintown and Abington. Where they film the Goldberg, so you can go see that place.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of great things about Philly. I was just in New York and I haven't been there in a while, and I still got lost, so.
Oh, our Philly pride.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're winning, we love you. If not, we'll throw snowballs. I think we're the only place that threw snowballs at Santa. And that was terrible. I tell you what, though, we love our Philly. And there's this sort of thing where I'm not saying that anywhere in the United States isn't special. I have best friends from everywhere.
Right.
But when I was growing up, there was a sort of swagger that we had. And my friends had some serious backbone and confidence. And we were so young, but it didn't matter. It was the feelings of conquering the world. I never heard about the bored, small town getting in the trouble kid. I heard kids that had big dreams and were doing well in athletics and just falling in love with one another, becoming united, having each other's back. This is a class of 500. And this was people can say that their youth can dictate their lives if it's a positive or a negative experience. I was exceptionally fortunate to be part of this sort of mindset, as you mentioned, in Philadelphia, where I don't know what was in the water or how we were raised or what was going on.
Something's out there.
But it produced winners.
Yes.
And it produced loyalty. The phone calls, the emails, the hugs, the making efforts to see one another. These are people that really work to maintain these relationships.
Right.
And if that's the sort of commitment and fidelity that I have with these individuals that I grew up with, well, then by all means, I'm exceptionally proud to be a part of that. And it also says something about someone's character, that you're worth it enough for people to still want to keep in touch with you.
Exactly.
And so I'm very happy to see that too. But yeah, that's but I also wanted to get out of the bad weather. So one of my goals was to move to beautiful weather, which was Arizona and then Costa Rica.
Yes. And I mean, now you're living the dream. You have a great company and you create an awesome environment for your team.
It's changed, Alejandra. Work from home and virtual ruin the synergy of the center. I'm fortunate I can grow this way, but you know perfectly well, if we were sitting next to each other, we'd be high-fiving, thumbs up while you're closing. If I'm having a tough day, say, Richie, come on, I got your back. We're gonna make you feel better. And you know, when you go to the gym, you'll get more reps out. You'll work a little bit harder when you're best friends with you. And so that got taken away. And I still have 20-30% of the staff here, but the majority are working from home.
Oh, wow. Okay.
COVID ruined it, but then the majority of the labor pool today want to work from home. But let's look at it from a business perspective. Thankfully, Costa Rica has a good infrastructure, but the argument against work from home to my clients, if need be, is internet redundancy, electricity, I have a backup generator, and immediate IT support in case a laptop or computer goes down. Those are three very solid arguments on my end. What about their end? Convenience, time, transportation, money.
You save a lot of money too,
So I look at both. And then the deciding argument is the labor pool, because if I only force people to come here, I might get 30% of the pool. But if I give a hybrid potential work from home situation, I can probably get about 80 to 90% compared to the 10% that have to be here for PCI compliance, or some people that say, I'm so good, work from home or nothing.
Exactly.
So, but they don't meet me anymore. It's not like it used to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's kind of like, remember when you look at the old photographs from the 50s or 60s and 70s and you see the diners or parks?
Yes.
Everyone's talking or just hanging out and looking. But then if you look at it today, they're on their phone. They made the joke of the movie The Breakfast Club.
Oh, yes.
Where they're showing a thing, we're all looking on their phone instead of talking. And so I have to accept it.
Yeah.
But then again, the one thing that needs to be taught is these soft skills that are being reduced because of this non-voice chat and email communication. Is it effective? Yes. Is it the norm? Yes. But you are reducing your soft skills.
Yes.
And when you are put in situations face to face or on the phone, you're not warmed up.
Exactly.
You know, you're not loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
And so I think that people need a certain blend, and that would be my strong suggestion for your younger audience.
And I agree with you. It is becoming easier to get on chat, but you lose that connection, and then do lose those soft skills, so you can't even communicate correctly anymore.
What about the miscommunication, Alejandra?
Yes.
There's tons of miscommunication.
Yes.
And what about when people do the old cat or latency?
Yes.
You wait too long. What I hate the most is if someone has to tell me something, just don't start off by saying, hey, or Richard. Okay. And then I see the typing. I'm like, okay. No, seriously, now I'm dropping everything. Hold on, Alejandra. Let me wait. And so it's just, I hate that. If you're going to combo it. And let me know what's going on. Just don't get my attention first. You got my attention.
Right.
And so I think, as I mentioned before, like imagine if you were sitting there, Alejandra. Yeah, Richard. What are you waiting for? I'm typing in my head my answer to you before I speak it to you. So would you mind waiting about a minute and a half?
Oh, God.
Oh, annoying. So you got to think it's the same thing, my friend. If you're going to hit that thing and get my attention, you better go quick. Just don't say, yo, Alejandra, and sit there for 2 minutes waiting for me to think of my answer back to you.
Exactly.
It's weird.
It is. And we are losing it. And I can tell you that the next generation, you know, I have friends that are in early 20s, and I tell them, dude, you have to learn. Like, you still have to learn the old school way and then the new way. You have to combine it together.
Now, make some suggestions for your younger audience. Some of my influences that assisted me today. Do you remember the show The A-Team?
Yes.
Do you remember the face man, Templeton Peck, played by the great actor Dirk Benedict?
Yes.
Well, good. Your audience should study him because he was smooth before technology.
Yes.
There was also a show in the 80s called Remington Steele with Pierce Brosnan and Stephanie Zimbalist. Now, if you want to study exceptional rhetoric and delivery, watch that. In fact, I dress like him. And then if you really want to go super duper old school, my favorite, okay, Basil Rathbone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He did about 17 Sherlock Holmes movies with Nigel Bruce, but then again, he did old-time radio, so you got dozens of those. If you want to study the master of rhetoric and delivery and speech, offense and defense, because people start ripping at him, and he comes back with some Mike Tyson knockouts. Study your Basil Rathbone, study your Templeton Peck, and your Remington Steele. Yes. These will give you the fun, enjoyable homework soft skills that I am suggesting.
That we're all going to need eventually. And I think I agree with it 1,000% that we need to, even if we're entrepreneurs, if, you know, whatever we're doing, really focus on soft skills. It's going to work with your job. It's going to work with your business. It's going to work with everything. Encountering your family members, all of that.
What about conflict management, Alejandra?
That too. That's a good point.
Okay, so someone's coming at you, guns a blazing, frustrated, the whole shebang, right? Mm-hmm. Making a scene, cursing,
yelling at yeah.
Okay, so what do? They're cursing at you, right? Let them keep going. As long as they're not cursing at you, they get one warning. If not, then you kill the call. But if they're just cursing out loud, then they go, oh, Richard, I'm really sorry for cursing. I go, Alejandra, are you done yet? You want to curse a little more? No, I'm okay, Richard. Are you sure?
Uh-huh.
I'm sure. May we move forward? Yes. Thank you. You can let someone cry themselves to sleep or realize the faults in their actions by not interrupting or lecturing. They will then say, but don't say, it's okay. No, it's okay. You just been cursing for 10 minutes and you're wasting my talk time. Alejandro, are you done yet?
Yep.
Yeah. Are you done yet? Are you sure? I'm going to double check. Any more cursing? I tripled you. No more F-bombs. Mind you, my supervisor just heard this because our calls are recorded. Right?
Exactly.
That's number one.
Yeah.
Secondly, I love confirmations. Mm-hmm. Alejandro, you said ABC. Is that correct? Yes. Thank you. I don't want hedgings of wonderful, great, amazing. No. There's certain times, the only times, where I suggest that you're monotone and robotic because it's a confirmation of an email, an address, the time you got hired or fired from a job, any sort of anything. I don't know if 123 Main Street's amazing. It could be in Crackville where there's gunshots. So calm down.
Right.
Calm down.
Right.
And so I think that's neutral. It's very important, as I mentioned, to then give options of people. Okay?
Right.
I say, Richard, what are your services? Well, we do sales, customer support,
Right.
appointment. Guy go, we do sales. Appointment comes up. Whoa, 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 whoa. Some guy go, we do sales, appointment setting. Oh,
Right.
horizontal, vertical. So you like appointment setting. What have you been doing? So you need to do 1 and 2. You lay it out, wait for reaction. Well, what happens if it's 9 things? I don't know. What happens if Alejandra says nothing when you go through 9? That's a great question, Alejandra.
Yeah.
So I went from A to Z, right? And you didn't react. And I did the perfect layout, let you see the dessert, brought it back. You ain't budging. Then I'd say, Alejandra, I'm sure you like at least 1. Yeah, I didn't say all 9.
Exactly.
But I didn't say 0 and say, do you like any? Hell no. I said, Alejandra, I'm sure you like at least 1. Well, I kind of like the lemon pie. Lemon pie. Is that correct? Yes. Thank you. Okay, so get rid of all of them. Now it's lemon pie. And then we're done with the lemon pie. Are you sure, Alejandra, there's nothing else that you were interested in? Well, I kind of like the cheesecake too. You know, I'm so glad that I checked the room because you left the wallet on the desk. Don't you ever check your hotel room a couple times? You forget the charger or the toothbrush. Will you please walk the room one more time? And you just gave 9 things to Alejandra. She chose 1. Will you please rake one more time?
Exactly.
One more time. And about 50% of the time you'll hit.
Yeah.
Okay. And you start reducing. And
Right.
I like recapping at the end for meeting minutes.
Right.
So Alejandra, we spoke about A, B, C, and D, and you really like C. Well, I also liked E too. Really? Can you believe I Hail Married it? 20% of the time, I get 1 more. 80% of the time, no, I'm good with A. No, C's fine, but good try, Richard.
Right.
But now the last one, I'll go, remember, A, B, D, E, and F. And you have to.
No, and it's true.
1 more ring.
Yeah, and it's true. And I mean, I learned a lot from you because, like I said, we're in a communication, sales, telemarketing. We're doing this even when we don't work at a call center. We're doing this for podcasting. We're doing for sales, for product sales, advertisement. I mean, it all comes down together very nicely, what you do with your company.
Well, I appreciate that. But I tell you what, I believe that most people, even though they're busy, and if you catch them at the right time, they're dying to at least be entertained.
Yes.
You're not guaranteed 10 minutes. You're guaranteed 20, 30-second checkpoints.
Exactly.
So let me see how many you can get. But even myself and you and other professionals that like sales, like strategy, intelligence, information gathering and sharing, would find a dynamic, animated, learned individual to be quite fascinating. And I tell you what, Alejandra, there have been so many times that we have tried every way to connect, but we don't have Chinese language capacity. We're not 24/7.
Right.
And I can't match the rates of India.
Oh, yeah,
It doesn't mean that we didn't have an amazing 10-minute conversation and really like each other.
Exactly.
Where they say, hey, Richie, why don't we just keep in touch in LinkedIn, or if I go to Costa Rica, let's have dinner. Or next thing you know, I get a phone call and I'm like, hello. And it's like, hi, is this Richard? Yeah. Hi, this is Alejandra. I'm friends with Billy. And you spoke to him 3 weeks ago. He loves you. I'm like, really? And so plant nice seeds with people. In fact, I almost like having a solid relationship when business isn't made, because we liked each other regardless of business.
Exactly. That's a cool part.
I didn't have to pay to be your friend.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a wonderful way where you can connect. And it's very interesting how that happens when these millionaires and important people finally get somebody to talk about something they enjoy.
Yes.
Compared to asking them about how much money they make or the vacations that they're taking.
Or pitch to them.
Don't you love seeing the most successful individuals that have their best friends from kindergarten that are with them?
Yes.
Or like Bon Jovi, for an example, who married his high school sweetheart.
Yeah, he's
And
still married to her.
you could have 1,000 opinions on that, but I look at it like this. They both knew there's something more. It's a lot more than his music career and his money. Why? Because that didn't exist when they fell in love.
Exactly.
And he was a young kid, she was a young girl, and he had to sneak out of his house and call the house to ask permission to talk to her. And they were embarrassed at school dances and talked in the hallways and passed notes like they did in the 80s. And but how pure.
It is.
And you wonder why it's lasted this long. And so when you see these individuals, they would give their fortunes away to keep their best friend.
Right.
Because they know how it is.
Yeah.
And so I'm very grounded. I love people in my life that know me for who I am, not being a CEO of a call center. In fact, to be forthright with you, Alejandra, that's the last thing I want to talk about. I mean, I'm here today and this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
But if you meet me around the way, I'd rather you meet Richard first.
Yeah. Yeah. The other side of you, you're the real you. You know, it's that side of you.
It's what's expected of me.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be the CEO that fires people and yells at people. What do I do from time to time?
Yeah.
Come on, man, make calls. Damn it.
Yeah. No, but it's true. But even I am learning to do that. I think I kind of, set aside part of me where I'm just on the go and just kind of relax a little bit and let people know, get to know that side of me, the vulnerable side, the one that's fun, quirky, all of that.
I tell you what, I'm going to pay you a huge compliment. I don't want you ever to lose your shine.
Thank you.
The moment that you stop being this incredible person, I will call you out on it and let you know. Because we are special, because we're comfortable in our skin.
Yes.
And we're not here today to sell a book, a seminar. I'm not asking for likes, subscribers, comments. I'm just here to pay it forward. I'm here to spend time with a friend of mine. And I guess your audience in the world just gets to see on camera what two people spoke about when we were off camera.
Exactly.
And maybe this sort of moment that we can share with people is a nice thing. It hopefully can add wind in their sails today.
Absolutely. And, I want to thank you because, like I said, this podcast started from just one idea and it just grew, tremendously. And I'm really honored to bring people such as yourself, Richard, because I'm learning a lot. This is also a school for me.
Well, we love it, and keep producing episodes and be raw.
Yes.
Just keep doing what you're doing because it's a wild card. We don't know where it's going to go, but it's definitely entertaining.
It is. And the people want to be entertained. The people love great conversations. They love authentic conversations. And that's what the show's about. Entrepreneurship and also conversating with other people, business people, entrepreneurs, and average people that just want to talk about their life.
Maybe even what's behind the curtain and in the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I could show you the success, but let me explain to you some of the things that got me here and some of the obstacles that we had to overcome.
Exactly. And is there something that you want our audience to know about you that nobody knows?
Well, I hired the bassist of In Excess to play on a song that I produced here with the rock legend Igni Furoki. The song's Shine Like the Sun.
Oh, wow.
So I had an incredible experience working with a member of my favorite band. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's it. That's one of the things. Mm-hmm.
That is like, wow. I would probably be so freaking nervous if I had to do that.
I mean, if you got a moment, I'll tell you the story. So a very good friend of mine, when I first got here, Igni Furoki, he worked at the call center with me, and he's got an amazing rock band. Awesome. They have songs like San Lucas y la Radio, which are very famous songs he's been playing since 78. And so the call center's here, and I married my wife, Grace, and I said, hey, man, do you mind writing me a song about me showing up to Costa Rica, working at a call center, falling in love, and not wanting to go back to Philly? Because, yeah, sure, why not? So Eduardo Dorian and Harold Salas, we all got together, and they wrote and produced a song. And then all of a sudden, I'm listening to a podcast of the bandmates of In Excess, and one of them was Gary Beers talking about his company in Los Angeles, ggbbasses.com. And so, yeah, I looked him up. And then I saw one section, hire Gary. Because, you know, there's contact. And I could write him a flower email. I love it. Excited. You're the best. I'm a number one fan, which I still did anyway, but we'll get to that in a minute. But it said, hire Gary. He says, yeah, he'll play on a track. And if you want, he'll help you, you know, mix some stuff. And if you really want, he'll do a performance video. So I was like, oh my God. And guess what? I got a song. So I go, Mr. Beers, I produced this thing, this and this. And then I threw in the flowers. I love your band. You're the greatest ever. I think I wrote like my high school teacher would have been proud in English class. Why? Because I did 1,000 words. You know, it was a lot. So anyway, he writes back and he goes, hi, Richard. Glad you like my music. So you want to hire me? I wrote way too much. And so I said, absolutely. And you know what's interesting in life, Alejandra? There's probably been times in your life where it didn't matter the price. Seriously. So you just said, I'll order this. Don't even look at the menu or the shoes or mine. I said, Mr. Beers, I want it all. He goes, okay, I'll quote you a price. And his price was, or I look at it, I go, you got to be kidding. No way. It's almost for free. And so made the deposit, sat back. This guy jammed on the album, really funky, added some synthesizer, a little bit more beats to the percussion. Sent me back certain tracks that I had a professional down here that could mix it where he overlapped it, took out the bass, but put it, this system that I saw. I don't even know how to explain it, but these guys were incredible. And then he sent the performance video of him jamming to it because I had proof. Because most people are like, that's not Gary Beers. Watch the video. He's playing to the actual song. And I have emails. I have proof. He called me mate.
Wow.
But it was cool. But I tell you what, Alejandra, don't ever produce a rock video with models and rock guys and grips because it's like 13th grade. They're all smoking, drinking, and wasting time. It's very tough to get them on the set. But I don't know how I did it.
That's
awesome. I pulled it off and I wrote a love song for my wife. She got it. Yeah.
You know what? Those are the moments that you'll never forget. You'll take them with you. I mean, you can't put a price on that.
Gift that keeps on giving.
Exactly.
You believe in electromagnetic energy. The actual transfer, either through touch or thoughts or written stuff. I believe, say what you want, that this professional musician, this gentleman, took a minute to compose and assist us in a song, take the time to do a video, write me and send it in his short life just to give me a moment.
Yeah.
That has to be transferred. And it's through music. It's through art. It's the thing that I can do over and over again. It's not a cookie that went away. I get to watch it again and feel the music. And when they ask how much was it?
It doesn't matter.
Free. Oh, you kidding? What was given to me and for my friend Faroki and my wife's like, you really did this for me? I go, yeah, honey. It's not just flowers and chocolate. I had rock singing songs for you.
Yeah.
But here's the best part about my wife. She's so sweet. She's a Costa Rican princess. And so she never saw Pac-Man, Snow, or Humphrey Bogart. So trying to explain to her a basis of In Excess jamming on a song about her through my friend Faroki. She's like, it's great. You're like, what?
Yeah, it's like, okay, cool. But that story is amazing. I mean, I would just frame everything and I would always talk about it to people. Show it off.
Listen, I got more points if I made the bed.
Yeah.
Doing this or cooking a dinner. Seriously? So that's more important?
Yeah. I bet she's honored for sure.
Well, I tell you what, I try, as you say, to do something that shows additional effort. Like as a child, if you drew your mother a Mother's Day card compared to buying it, it means the world.
Yeah.
And I keep those things, those handwritten letters from grandma. I treasure those. Those aren't going anywhere.
Right.
And I don't know. It's when somebody sews a sweater for you, or somebody makes something for you. Yeah. And then hands it to you. That's a very nice gift. In my opinion.
It is. And, I'm sure that, like I said, that's a memorable moment, and you take it with you. It's priceless, and it's an act of love at the end of the day.
Have you ever seen the people when they get those fancy bags? It's all they wanted, $10,000. It's great. But guess what? Everybody could get that. When you do something that is so unique, it's a one of a kind. It's not a print. It's a one of a kind.
Right.
Then you're extra, extra special.
Yes. That's so true. That's what I love. I love talking to people such as yourself. And, I'm so honored, like I said, to interview you. You're very entertaining. I love it. I'm going to go ahead and just... Thank you for listening to this episode. Please don't forget to rate the episode on GoodPod, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast. And don't forget to follow Richard Blanks on LinkedIn. His information is in the bio. He just, always networking with other entrepreneurs in business and like-minded people. So I'm excited, guys, that this podcast is going to keep growing. We have more guests coming. So stay tuned for the next one.